Hi, I'm Dr. Ken Snyder, the dental director of the St. Vincent de Paul Charity Dental Clinic here in South Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome to another edition of the Happiness Factor. Now, in previous sessions, I mentioned that I believe laughter, humor, and play to be three of God's special gifts to all of us. We can review for a moment a few of our discoveries about laughter. We said that in the purest sense, laughter is actually a stress relieving mechanism. As we laugh, the tension builds up in our muscles and within our body, but then after the laugh, it's at a much lower relaxed state. We also mentioned that there are three other body functions that if we were to graph them, it would be kind of like that. They would start up higher, but then at the end, they'd be much lower as far as the muscle activity and the tension in our body and so forth. One begins with the C, crying. You know, when we cry, the tension builds up, but then at the end, we're much more relaxed and we don't feel as good emotionally, but we're pretty much drained. Another one begins with the Y, and you may guess, yawning. Some people say yelling, but hopefully you're not doing much of that. But yawning, we yawn, it feels like our head's going to pop off, the tension builds up. At the end, we almost fall asleep. And then the last one begins with an S, which is a three-letter word, and it's actually sex. And so now that on all three of these, like I say, the tension builds up, but at the end, we're much more relaxed. And so laughter in its strictest sense is a stress relieving mechanism. Now, interestingly, most of us have our own particular style of laughing, and we actually exhibit different styles and different types of laughter depending on the occasion and the reason for the laugh. We will be exploring these laughter styles, and maybe you can identify your own in a future episode. But in the meantime, I'd like you to check out this video. Now, you'll see there's an older man laughing, and watching him laugh in his particular style are two younger men, and notice how they start to laugh in their particular style. See if you can make it the whole way through this video without laughing yourself. Did you do it without laughing, or at least a little chuckle or giggle? I'm betting no. What's one thing that you noticed then by watching this video about laughter? Laughter is contagious. We also explored previously that laughter is one of our higher brain activities. There's a gentleman, Peter Dirks, who years ago did some research at William and Mary University, and he found out that about 0.4 of a second after we hear the punchline of a joke, there's a negative wave, before we laugh, there's a negative wave that sweeps the entire cortex of the brain, both hemispheres. And this is highly unusual because things like sight, speech, hearing, memory, motor functions are all isolated to not only one hemisphere, but one particular part of a hemisphere of the brain. So laughter is actually one of the very few full brain activities that we know. Laughter is also frequently used as a form of communication and social interaction. Robert Provine did a research project with his residents at the University of Maryland. And what he did was he had the residents listen into over 1,200 private conversations. Now, they weren't bugging people's phones or anything like that, but this was in a public place, be it a restaurant or be it at the park or wherever, at the, a concert. And they kind of took note, and they found that only about 10 to 20% of laughter comes from a result of either hearing a joke or a funny story. That 80 to 90% were actually just regular parts of conversation. Like, wow, did you see that hit? Or, hey, I'll see you tomorrow night. Hey, what do you guys want to do today? And pay attention yourself to conversations and even your own conversations, how often we laugh. And again, it's not elicited by a joke or funny story, just part of social communication. They also found interesting enough, we laugh 6 times more often when we're with another person. And we actually laugh 30 times, this was, their research, more often when we're in a group. So again, pay attention to some of these social situations and see how it works out for you. Okay, so laughter is a primary form of communication, and it's also a vital part of social interaction. Also important to note is that we are actually hardwired for laughter. It's innate. It's not a learned activity. And take a look at this video with this young child laughing, and you'll see it just comes natural, even almost from birth. Okay, to become aware of all the physical and emotional benefits of laughter, and there are so many, I mean, it's unbelievable, please check out episode 1 and episode 2 of our previous postings on the happiness factor. So here's the thing. To create a happy, healthy lifestyle, there's only a few things that we really need to do. One is that we need to get proper sleep. We need to have a healthy diet. We need to hydrate. Most people are actually in a state of dehydration. And we also need to get routine exercise. But we also need, and this is very important, we also need daily doses of humor, laughter, and play in our lives. Not just, and notice I said daily doses, okay? Not just whenever we can finally squeeze it in, when there's finally time, which there rarely is. We need to have daily doses of these things in our life. And so we need to make laughter and humor and play a priority, especially in today, with all our stressful lifestyles that we live. Okay, we've talked several times about the benefits of laughter in future podcasts. We will begin to explore humor and play, and why they are also essential ingredients in creating a healthy lifestyle. I want to close today's session with a thought and a quote. The thought is this. I mentioned in a previous podcast that I worked for 2 years in an intensive care unit in a large metropolitan hospital in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, my junior and senior year of dental school. And one of the things that, among many things that I noticed, it was quite an experience, but I noticed that generally people who knew that they were never getting out of that unit alive again, they were in their last weeks, sometimes last days, hours of life, they fell into one of two categories. Either they were totally content. Now, no one wants to die. In fact, Woody Allen once said that, hey, I'm not afraid of dying. I just don't want to be there when it happens. And I'm sure if it were possible, none of us would want to be there when it happens, but we all are. And so the one category were people who they were content. They felt like they'd lived a great life, a wonderful life. They'd gotten the most out of life. They'd accomplished most of the goals they wanted, that had good relationships. They were content. The other the other group fell into the category of they were totally agitated. There were relationship fences that needed mended that now never would be. They always wanted to go on a trip with their family somewhere, which they knew now they would never do. Other things they wanted to accomplish. We have that someday syndrome. Someday I'm going to do this. Someday I'm going to do that. Well, for them, there were no more somedays. So the thought is this, or the quote I want to give you is, I've had a most wonderful life. I just wish I would have realized it sooner. Here's your assignment. Realize it now. Laugh more, love more, and enjoy life day by day, every second. If you would like to join us in our mission here at the Happiness Factor at the St. Vincent de Paul Dental Clinic, the Charity Dental Clinic, you can see the St. Vincent de Paul donation page, how you can do that and help give people a happier life and their smiles back. St. Vincent de Paul has so many wonderful things that are done here. If you want to contribute to the dental clinic, please designate dental. If you choose something else, that's great. It all goes to a wonderful cause. And then also, please subscribe, hit the subscribe button to the Happiness Factor. And if you do make a donation, let them know that you heard about it on the Happiness Factor. And please tell your friends about the Happiness Factor. So until next time, as always, be true to your teeth, and they won't be false to you. Take care.